The hardos are going to be upset with me, but when I can never win. I literally can never win. We do a thing where I think we're actually saying nice things about LIV a few weeks ago, and the people in the comments are like, rah, rah, rah.
Mayo experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience. Cognizant Classic at the Palm Beach, I believe is what they're now calling the Honda Classic. No more Honda. Cognizant is in. We got the bets, the one and done, the preview, the recap of the Mexico Open, and even some stuff that obviously I wasn't here, so we can talk about what happened at Riviera as well, which was a really, exciting tournament. And for like the last 2 hours, if you had a Hideki ticket, smash the like. We're here. Sub to Mayo Media Network, fantasynational.com/Mayo to get yourself 20% off. The research show is out. You can do the walkthrough along with me if you are a member at fantasynational.com. So please go do that. The Listeners League link is unavailable at the moment. I will add it to the YouTube video once I get it, and it will be on the Best Bet show on Tuesday, on the DraftKings Pick show on Wednesday. So plenty of chances to get yourself in the Listeners League rake-free, so you should go and do that. Jeff, I always enjoy the show more when I hit a winner on Sunday, the previous day, and I did with Jake Knapp. It's so few and far between at this point. I always forget just how excited I get when I hit a winner.
A winner on vacation is pretty good. Or I guess you say returning from vacation, but it just, pays a lot of bills after the fact. So that's always nice. I had a winner on my honeymoon once. Still think about it fondly. Kuchar Memorial. So props to that. Props to anybody who bet Jake Knapp. I mean that shit. If you'd have told me Monday morning, like, yeah, Jake Knapp, be like, okay, what's the number? 80? And you're like 40, 45? And there are people, you bet them. I know Baroff bet him. Tour Picks, I don't bet him. So people were betting him, but I was never betting him. 29-year-old rookies, Pat. Anyone who watched this show long enough, like, those aren't my bag. Like, they're not my bag.
No,
I like the overhyped 20-year-olds.
I mean, there's a few of those in the field this week that we can probably get behind.
There's a few of those in the field every week, and it can get expensive. But so credit to all you guys. I mean, you identified that he could be a perfect course fit, that he clearly could be ready for the moment. Despite a shaky Sunday, he held on. He did all he had to do. It was pretty much a one-on-one, and just sort of early struggles, but made less mistakes coming home and had the cushion to start.
Well, I mean, it's not like things got better than they were the first 3 holes for him, but it's not like he didn't struggle all day off the tee, which through 3 rounds, he was essentially Scotty Scheffler. He had a 2-way miss going on Sunday, as we joked off air. Like, maybe there's between his partying, maybe there's some matchup fades we can take on him this week. Maybe even withdraws. Life is so pure at the moment. Who knows? Wouldn't be the first time we've seen it. He scrambled much better on the back 9 than he did on the front 9. And that was really it. He got a bit of his cushion back because Sammy stopped scrambling or couldn't pull it off, and Jake did. So credit to him, credit to everybody who smashed it. Yeah, it's funny, just that weird odds range, because there's 3 that stick in my mind. It's really unfair to put Jake Knapp into this, but just as someone, I talked about him after the Torrey Pines show. He came 3rd at Torrey Pines, and I was like, man, there's a lot of names at the top of this leaderboard who play really well in Mexico. Maybe there's some sort of correlation here. That's when I first started thinking about Jake Knapp. And on the research show, I was like, man, in Mexico, like, if he's in the field, like, we need to hit this. And then I saw the number was 45 when it opened, and I was like, oh, Jesus. And I was like, I said I was going to do it. I'm on vacation. I'm just throwing bets in. So let's do that. Because I had the Finau future at 18. So I was just like, the next guy on the card will be Jake
You're on
Knapp.
vacation. You even thought about it less. You're like, I'm not making content. I'm just firing these bets. Peace of mind vacation bets. Boom. Good for you, buddy.
Hey, man, I made shirtless
PGA bets, and it finally hit. I might have to do that.
Oh yeah, shit. Maybe you got to run that back. It's shirtless Mayo content.
Well, it's -5.
You got a winner.
Well,
1 for 1 and shirtless winner.
I know. So for superstition wise, you might have to see me like walking down my street this week in like -5 degree temperature with snow in the background. I'll have nips as hard as rocks, but might have to do it just for the brand to keep this going. If we can hit another winner, I'm in. I'll do the shirtless picks every week.
Yeah, you got to do the Raza, but without your shirt.
Yeah,
he goes outside and gives a walk and talk like college pick or something.
Raza's on the show tomorrow, by the way. Raza and Byron for the best bets. We're gonna switch up the guests every single week on the best bet show, so they're on for that. Then Tampa will be back on Wednesday. If people do want to know about that, I'll be doing the shows with my shirt on. There was I got 2 or 3 comments like, this makes me feel uncomfortable watching this. Imagine, wouldn't it make you feel more uncomfortable if you saw someone at the beach wearing a shirt? Wouldn't that be weird?
Yeah, listen, it's just for the moment. I don't know. Yeah, just where you place and time is appropriate a place to be going shirtless. You're like, hey, you're probably getting peppered with where are your picks, Pat? Who did you bet? She's like, fuck it, here we go. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how well thought out it was. I assume it's just like, damn it, it's time for me to fire my picks. I'm at the beach. Let's give her. I don't know. Traps be showing. You rocked it. You had a great. I don't know. You look nice and fresh. I am, on the other hand, Pat, off one of those weekends where there's nothing worse. Okay, I'll tell you, dads, there is nothing worse when mom is down for the count sick.
Oh no.
Mom down for the count sick. It's winter time here in Canada. All the grandmas are snowbirding. I am fending for myself. It was not a pretty picture. So I had a bit the total opposite weekend as you, but hey, we're ready to go, and I'm excited about this Honda board. I don't have a lot of bets, but I have a lot of thoughts.
Well, that's good because we can talk it through.
Honda called it the Honda. Everyone is. This is a staple, Pat. This is like how I still call the Skydome, how people still call it Joe Robbie, how, it's, whatever that field was that you grew up at. Everyone locally, I'm certain of it, that I speak to down there, it is still the Honda. So for all the Cognizant, it hasn't broken through locally. I promise you.
Well, I got a text from Cuss this morning because I was trying to find out who his one and done was going to be. And he just goes, this is called the Cognizant now? And then he wrote, you might say, I wasn't cognizant of that. Lol. I guarantee you he laughed to himself for 5 straight minutes after he sent that. And then he probably tried to rank chicken wing sauces again and just use condiments instead.
But yeah, no, this I think is going to be Wells Fargo, Farmers. We've got a few long time forever sponsors that are bailing.
This was the longest one on the PGA Tour. 42 years Honda was the sponsor of this tournament.
Yeah, and because of that, they're gonna get some after the fact equity in people really struggling to get the other name. This is as staple as it comes.
Oh, 100%. Even in the Fantasy National system right now, it's still called the Honda, just because it's easier to do that way because people know what they're searching for.
Sure, I get that. I'm telling you, this Cognizant, unless there's no point in signing a 2-year deal to sponsor this event because it'll still be the Honda. You've got to almost commit to it to be able to get any sort of recognition, or I don't want to call any PGA event outside of Waste Management cultural significance, but in the niche bubble of fans, you're not going to break through the Honda name in 2 years. You're just not. 40 plus years, the only name of the tournament ever. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, for sure. I want to talk about Mexico a little bit more. Knapp was 28 going out on Saturday, and I think he ended up shooting 9 under or 7 under or whatever it was. But I was worried because, I mean, he ended up with the 4-shot lead. That's great, although no one really felt all that great about it, despite the fact there was only one guy within 7 strokes. I mean, anyone who was sitting there with a Jake Knapp ticket did not feel good whatsoever. And we were kind of proven right through the first 3 holes. Then he got it back together. But I couldn't believe it. And you mentioned it, his up and down game from like not being able to hit a fairway, not being able to hit a green, yet putting it to 4 feet and making all of those putts every single time coming home on Sunday was kind of the exact opposite of what he did through like the first 7 holes on Sunday and the back 9 on Saturday. Like there was a bunch of par 5s where he could have ran away with the tournament on Saturday, and he just, he'd be short of the green on a par 5. It's like, oh yeah, he's got a 20-yard chip. Just get this up and down and tap it in for birdie. And he'd leave himself like 19 feet short or something like that. Like, and he did it on the first par 5 on Sunday as well. Like he had to hit that ridge, the one that EVR hit to make his eagle. He was just off the green and left at the top of the hill. Like that's something that I do when I'm golfing. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm so close to the green in 2. This will be an easy up and down. I'll go tap it in for birdie. It's like all of a sudden I have a 30-foot birdie putt that I'm just not going to make. That's what he was doing. And then all of a sudden it changed and he was just able to do it again. I was shocked.
Yeah, there was that back 9 birdie where he flew a ridge on a par 5, like with his 3rd. And at least I was listening on the radio at that time. They didn't think that was the play at all. And he hit it, stuck it to like a foot right near the green. So I don't know. It came, it went. The fact that he was able to, I mean, he obviously won the tournament, but just in thinking about Sunday as a whole, like it does feel like Sammy let him off the hook twice, getting it to tied. You feel like, okay, buddy's got to be squirming, but then Valimaki made the bogeys, so didn't even force Knapp into much. And Knapp, there were some incredible up and downs. He's up and down on 8, which might have been the hardest hole on the golf course.
I think number 10 is
about a 10-footer for par. That was beautiful. He never really let it get away despite being horrible, and really a 2-way like missing both ways all day.
Yeah.
All day.
Well, I remember.
I guess it was Valimaki's water ball, and they still made that great bogey. Yeah, it's all a bit of a blur, but I thought Valimaki was going to win that thing at least twice yesterday.
Yeah, for a while, but you were like, when you have the 4-shot cushion, Jake Knapp said it after the round, before he was shotgunning beers with everyone, which was awesome. Like you said, maybe his partying ways don't lend itself to, maybe he'll withdraw from the Honda now that he's in the signature events, now that he's in the Players Championship. But he had said that, like, I couldn't have played worse for the third. His caddy told him, it's like, you're playing like dog shit, and you still have a 1-stroke lead. So, like, you're fine. And, like, that calmed him down a little bit. And then he went way right on number 4. It's like, oh, my God, what are we doing here? But the time that he needed the big drive, I think it was on 16. 16's a really tough hole. He just hit it nails down the middle. It was, like, one of the 2 fairways he hit all day. I was like, okay, here we go. And when he put it in the bunker on 18, I was like, can he still get there? Like, I'm not super familiar with this hole because I didn't really watch a ton on Thursday and Friday. And then Valimaki put it up against the fence, and I was like, okay, here we go. We got this. This is great. It's never easy, though, Jeff. It's never easy.
No, right? Never easy. 4-stroke lead versus one guy. It's also a rookie. They still, and they turn it on you right away. They turn your screws right away. They don't let you even get comfortable, which is, I guess, nice. Knapp let you know right away this was going to be a sweat, boys. So buckle the fuck up. And credit to all you nappy backers, because fuck, obviously swing and miss more than most, but I was not even considering that.
So
40 to 1.
I didn't get my unfair comparison out, but the bet reminded me of, because like you mentioned, the odds, like you just weren't going to get there on the odds. And I think that if at the time we had been betting this and doing this show as long as possible, that there was no way we would have ever bet Brooks 40 to 1 in Phoenix for his first win. You just be like, that's too low for this guy coming over from the Euro Tour. You know what I mean?
No, because I'd argue, Pat, like it goes to maybe that's one of the times where overrating a guy who we ended up being right about, or at least history shows his major count, overrating a European Tour player worked out well for us, as it did with Willett for a moment in time. because you argue like, how good are these European Tour guys that we wake up Sunday morning, we watch like Be Awesome and we trust them in the PGA? Like, I didn't have that with Knapp. I didn't have that.
No,
He looked really.
But it's a different quality of field, too. Like, Brooks shows up. He had played well in some of the majors that he had qualified for already. It's like, yeah, but here's this guy. He's a big bomber. He can kind of putt. Yeah, let's go with him. Like, the number seems big. Maybe this is going to be a real guy. Because remember, we were about to do the same thing with Rahm at Phoenix, I think it was the following year or the year after. But he had won it 40-1 the week before at Torrey Pines. We were going to wait for that 40 to hit him in Phoenix, and then it crushed his number. And then he was just John Rahm. I don't think that Knapp is going to be that way whatsoever. I'm glad he got his win. Where would you like rank him? Because he's like a 29-year-old rookie. He hadn't won since the Canadian Tour. Like, the profile doesn't really fit with anything. And I saw that people were like kind of big upping him. Oh, I like him here. I like him here. It's like, let's pump the brakes a little bit. He might just be good at like resort course, birdie fest, or any sort of long course. Like, maybe there's not that much of a difference between Jake Knapp and Sam Stevens, for example.
Maybe he's Cam Champ. I don't know.
I mean, I think outside of Cam Champ's win, yeah, maybe he is Cam Champ, actually. I always think Cam Champ has 3 wins.
You winning a one-off at Vedanta doesn't make me... I wasn't one of these people like yelling at some customer service rep in a sports book chat being like, why don't you have him to win the PGA championship? You know, like, I don't know. It's like, why the fuck would we have him?
True, but it's not. But he had started off the season really well, so like he was trending towards this.
Well, yeah, maybe books were, but you know that major stuff were. And then if they have them,
I'm not. Listen, I'm not talking about majors. I'm just trying.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're right. You're talking about the profile. Like the 40-1 was fair. The books knew. The books knew. You knew. Friends of ours knew. Lots more of us didn't. You know, weren't on him, despite as many were clearly. Yeah, like you said, I don't fucking know. Like 3rd place at Torrey Pines, congratulations. That's a big boy course. It's a major championship venue. You're on the radar. To me, you're still a 29-year-old fucking rookie, you know, who last won on the Canadian Tour. Like, I'm not betting you to win on the PGA. I've got my own losers already.
And here
I got my own losers. So again, like, I don't know, last year you twisted my arm. I bet I had an Eric Cole monster. I didn't even know who the fuck the guy was.
Oh, God.
Or maybe saw him once before. But 150 wasn't like 40. I don't know. Not like I could be talked into it, but maybe if we did a show, I would have been. Maybe I lost because you went away.
I want to talk briefly about Genesis. Did you watch much of Genesis? Because that was like right when I was between like Panama and Aruba at that point. So I was able to catch some of it in a casino, and then I watched Hideki's heater on the beach. But I didn't see the. It's funny because we had all bet Hideki the week before, and then so I'd say 1% of people who bet Hideki in Phoenix bet him at Riviera. But there was probably, what was his live number on Sunday going into the round? Like 200-1.
Maybe like 110. But his starters, wasn't he like 80 to 1? Hideki's best golf, like his ceiling golf is as good as anyone in the world's. Anyone in the world's, when he is playing his ceiling golf, it is fucking iconic what that guy can do. Oh yeah. Credit to our boy Vincenzi, hit an absolute monster. Got a shout out from your boy House,
DC,
nice. Over at the Ringer on that Vincenzi, on that Hideki monster. My buddy throws live daggers, had a Hideki monster for a big one, but like live. But yeah, I don't know. It was one and done at not Torrey Pines at Phoenix. His best is just so fucking electric. Oh my God. It's so good. It's so good. And was it you who tweeted the Hideki Bubba comparison?
There was
about age and masters
yeah.
And the thing about, he's so young still, in the sense that because he's a baby, like he didn't go to school, just came right over. We met him so young, so he feels so much older than he actually is. He's still ready. He can give her any time, clearly.
Yeah, he's 32 years old.
Yeah, because the players that were good when we started, like a decade ago are all gone, but he was such a baby then.
Yeah.
And he's been obviously way more consistent and had way bigger moments than Fowler, who was always like a polarizing comp for us at the time.
Yeah.
Right? Because you'd say like,
and it's funny because I was always team Hideki, and then I've basically missed every single one of his wins.
Yeah. And while I may have been, I mean, I was like, I'm a Fowler fanboy, but I was always like, Hideki's the man. Like, never put that into question either. Just thought like, Hideki looked young, fun, and rode dirt bikes. He'd be the video game guy.
Yeah, and we always kind of said that he'd be a much bigger star in America. He does speak English, but even after the Genesis, he still used his translator.
Oh, yeah, he chooses that.
Yeah, which I'm sure that he, there's a reason that he does it, just so he doesn't have to deal with the media at all and just gets kind of focus on golf, be a huge star in Asia, and it's probably just nice living. If you're Hideki, reside in America for 9 months a year. You get to be a huge star whenever you go back to Japan or tour Asia, and people just kind of leave you alone, and you have all this money in the world. Liv's trying to get him again. Greg Norman even said it.
As they should. As they should. I mean, we've always thought the whole, and it's probably not without trying, but just as without knowing anything, it's surprising how they haven't been able to land Asia. How they haven't been able to do it. They crushed Australia, but whether it be Japan or Korea, and I know Japan doesn't have much offering, but yeah, Hideki, super deal. It'd be like people wake up to watch Hideki golf in the same way I feel like they woke up to watch Ichiro play or Shohei play. Like, they would watch, so it's a lot of people, but maybe it's a pride thing. I'm not really sure. And I love that move. If you want to talk to me, it's a lot more work for you than it is for me. If you need 6 minutes after a round, and he only has to do it when he does something like phenomenal, like, be a first round leader or go on to win the tournament. But other than that, he's like, no, we're not talking. But I guarantee you the boys in the locker room yuck it up in full English. Full English. I have no doubt about it.
I wonder if we go
Vladdy Guerrero does it. I always joke, Morency would always, who used to do the Expos locker rooms, would see him with the media and it'd be the whole thing. And then, people clear out and it's like full English, and his son does it the exact same way. So it's a power move. It is a power move. No speak English.
If we go to President's Cup and we bring Cust with us, do you think we can get Cust to ask Hideki what it was like to win the Players' Championship? So we need him not to go to LIV just so we can set up that situation. Vote in the Custies, by the way. We're still working on the live debate, and then after the debate, we'll have 2 more days, then voting will close. But that's out in the description right now. And you can always vote again, or not vote again, but you can always change your votes if you want to. After you we all had there was a lot of he really stirred up the pot with that chicken wing list. I'm not going to lie to you.
What a disgusting. Even my wife was like, what is wrong with this guy? He gives a chicken wing ranking flavors. That's essentially household condiments, Pat. Right? That's what I took from that link. It just seemed like for the most part, it's like random things, like household condiments.
And mild sauce.
Oh, that's a whole other ball game. But it's a very weird. That's very weird. I got a few things to say to Cust, but we'll get there. I'll save it. I'll put out an effort at the debate, which will cost me votes, I'm sure. Trying to think of other golf things. The Genesis, another event. I've bet him, I think, at least twice this year, Patrick Cantlay, and I thought both times I'm gonna hit a winner. I've got a winning bet this week.
All right, so I have a whole thing.
No,
I'm gonna bet Patrick Cantlay both next week and at the Players, but only first round leader.
He has been so. I don't bet first round leaders. I should be copying my card, because from Go this year I've had them, but I've had Thursday. I don't have first round leaders because I only have them outright. I can only call them Thursday warriors. But they're not Sunday heroes.
No, they are not.
You know, they're if you bet first round leader, like that's a Thursday hero. It's not a Thursday warrior. That's a Thursday hero. The ticket is cashed, but I don't do it. It's just maybe it's cost me money. Maybe it saves me money. I don't do it. I don't get in that first round leader thing. Feel like it would just double my losses for the week. So we'll just stick to what I do. But Cantlay, I don't know whether you're joking about wanting to bet Cantlay coming up. But
No, I am dead serious that he just keeps being first round leader. So we might as well just bet him first round leader at a better number than his outright win. Like, what's the difference?
I guess, at least he can win that. Trying to think what else.
Tiger, man.
I thought PGA Tour Socials did little Charlie so dirty.
Oh, yeah.
And I said that before he shot whatever the number was that he shot in our both on Twitter and our personal correspondence. I get if the golf like blogosphere needs to be inundated with Charlie Woods playing in a pre-quali or just Charlie Woods playing in general. I understand that. But for the official PGA Tour social media to be getting him going from the car park to the front door, that's embarrassing. That's so bad. That is so unfair. Not to mention they had a tournament starting at the exact same time they're essentially doing that. Like, for so many reasons, I thought that was so wrong. For so many reasons. You can list them as to why they're wrong and unfair to Charlie, and you can list them as to why it's wrong and unfair to the tournament that's actually fucking being played, your professional event. Even if it's a shit field, it's still your event. Your players. You're trying to upstage them with a 15-year-old? Shame on you.
I'm with you that I just thought it was outrageous, but I didn't engage with anything that it went like
I didn't engage with any of it.
But everyone did. That's why they kept putting the shit out. Like, if they had just put it out once, like, hey, Charlie Woods is playing in this tournament, no one engaged with it, that would have been the end of it. But it just was people freaking out about it the entire time. Like, just the negative attention is good attention when you're doing this stuff. No one sat there and was like, oh my God, I need to see every shot from Charlie Woods. The entire conversation around is like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like, no one cares about this. Like, leave the poor kid alone. B, there's a real tournament going on. And C, like, there's actual pros trying to qualify for this. I get why it would be a story with Tiger's son playing. You can mention that he's doing it, but having the wall-to-wall coverage only existed because people got so outraged by it in the first place.
Yeah, and I didn't see it. I mean, apparently Golf Channel was hobnobbing it as well. I don't know. I feel like it's something that I understand happening in like the blogosphere, or if that's even still a thing anymore, as you know, mainstream tries to become part of the blogosphere. I totally understand. Like, if this is it just isn't. There's no intention of this being the beginning of his professional journey. Like, he's still a baby. He's gonna go to school. Like, clearly, like, this was just. Every Monday quali, every Monday pre-quali around the country has a bunch of cocky high school kids just wanting to see what they got. It happens all over the country. I don't doubt that for a second. This was one that's like 12 minutes from his front door, 12 minutes from his high school, I'm sure. Like, let's give her a rep. I don't fault any cocky high school kids for wanting to play in a pre-quali to see what they got. And I don't mind the blogosphere for acknowledging it. I just think from official socials of the preeminent tour on planet Earth doing that, playing into it was embarrassing. And I don't know. Like, clearly they signed off on it. Maybe this was just an rambunctious social media intern being like, I'm going to like show my boss how dedicated I am and gonna get to the car park for Charlie. I don't know, but it just was so wrong before he put a tee in the ground.
Maybe it was just to take attention away from Tiger.
I don't know what to make about that. I had some weird thoughts. Like, if he just withdrew because of the flu, maybe he would tee it up in Florida somewhere before the Masters. Is he going to play the Players? I assume so. Does that require a special exemption, or am I an idiot?
I don't-
Winner, right?
I don't know. He's won it like 3 times.
Yeah, give
or
it to him. I'm not
something.
debating it. I'm not debating it.
I
but
don't.
I'm just.
I don't know. I mean, he's probably still in based on his Masters win in 2019.
You're probably right. You're probably right on that. Yeah, now it gets my head spinning. Like, what could his clock be for the Masters? If it's just a flu, right? We've all had the flu. It can knock you out, whatever. Or maybe he just like I don't buy into the fact that he was using the flu as an excuse. That doesn't seem very Tiger to me, despite other faults. So I'm kind of anxious to see what's next, because we need competitive reps.
For sure. And
If he's feeling good, like if the leg and body are kind of I don't want to say healthy, but if it's just the flu that knocked him out, then let's get back on the horse, buddy, right away.
okay. Let's go to the Cognizant. This is, one of our, despite the fact that we haven't had the most success here, and it's led to a lot of heartbreaking losses. 200 we had 150 to 1 loss in a playoff last year with Eric Cole. I rewatched that again this morning. Not fun. And I watched all 4 rounds just to see how we got there. The PGA Tour, I do appreciate they're putting on like the longer DP World Tour style like recaps of each round, and they have those in the bank on the PGA YouTube page. But watching this one through, 2 things really stuck out. I forgot that Chris Kirk barely cleared the bunker on 16. He cleared it by like a foot and bounced it to like 25 feet and then made the putt. That's really what won him the tournament, because he goes in that bunker, he's probably fucked, and Cole wins it in regulation. And then during the playoff, they just showed, they were like, oh yeah, it's like, now let's go to the playoff. And they show Kirk from the middle of the fairway, put it to like a foot, but they didn't show Kirk from like behind the tree off the tee when we all thought that we were going to win the Eric Cole bet. It just seemed like really bizarre storytelling. Like, why did he lay up on this hole? Why is he right there? Why is he only putting for birdie? Like, that was such a major thing. Like, that was the stressful part of the tournament for anyone who had backed Chris Kirk. And there was a lot of people who had backed Chris Kirk last year that he had to like punch it out from where he was, and then still ended up winning the tournament on that hole. Like, just felt like a major miss when you're recapping the tournament. Like, that was kind of the pivotal moment.
I remember it quite well. Only really, I have so much betting heartbreak at the Honda. I guess still the Honda.
You can call it the Honda. It's okay. You don't need to correct yourself every time.
Yeah, I'm not. That'd be bad. That's bad. So much, like from Keith Mitchell walking off the big boys.
I forgot about that one. I had Ricky and Brooks. Oh,
I just had Ricky, so that one stung less for me. Like one of our first shows, I want to say, was the Burger playoff loss to Patty on the Monday.
The Monday, we watched that live in the office. That was the first time we ever bet Burger. He was 100 to 1. He was one of those guys that we saw for the first part of the season. It's like, okay, this guy's like a real player. Then we found out he went to FSU. It's like, all right, let's bet him. Yeah, we missed that 100 to 1. We missed Cole 150 to 1.
There's been so much Tommy heartbreak at the Honda. There's been at least 2 clear chances to not be a PGA Tour bridesmaid. And then there was the year where I had Tommy, Noren, and List, and JT beat List in the playoff, and JT hit freaking rocks and bounced onto a green.
That wasn't even the thing though. The biggest thing, because I had List and he lost in the playoff to Thomas that year. And yeah, you had List, and then you had the 2 guys who finished the shot out with Noren, because Noren was in that bunker on 18. But the biggest thing was Thomas kind of hit the same shot that Kirk did on the very last hole. He had to punch it out and lay it up on that par 5, and he legit put it to like 2 inches to get into the playoff with List. Yeah. It was like, and
then List hit it into the trees in the playoff and didn't have the magic that Kirk or Thomas had, clearly.
And lest we forget, I mean, I don't know if you had it the year that Straka won, but I was sitting there with a Daniel Berger ticket, who I'm pretty sure had a 5-stroke lead going into the final round, and it was evaporated by the 5th hole. It was basically the full Jake Knapp, except he didn't come back and win.
No, did not have that. That was just a spectator for that. But all of my bad luck, I want to say, or bad beats, is offset a little bit, because I was there personally with a bunch of, it was the year that the DFS Open that started COVID. seeing Sung Jae win with Kenny Kim freaking out, seeing Sung Jae win, a lot of us having money on him. That's one great moment. That's like a one shining moment. Like you could play a video reel of it. It offsets all those bad beats in my memory log. But Tommy, never mind.
I feel like Lowry has stolen my money here every year too.
Lowry struck. It started to rain, right? Started to rain on Lowry, and he melted at the end.
Yeah, well,
What a monster though, Shane Lowry. This tournament is great. This field feels like it's better than it's been in a lot of years, but even when it hasn't been, it really delivers a lot of fun for us. We've always even seen it as a segue to a lot of European golfers before there were rules to invite the Europeans over. This was sort of the place where they'd get their season started. Now they're obviously coming early because they're winning or getting invited to things. But I love this event, and I'll be in Palm Beach. Unfortunately, not this week. I think in like 2 weeks, but it's always coincidence. Sometimes I get there for it. I love this event. It's great Rory's playing because it does give a lot of buzz. It does. It really does. It helps these things big time. I'm excited. I think it's going to be another banger, and I'm going to pepper the middle of the board because the middle of the board hit last week, but I fucking didn't even think about it.
All right, let's go to the top odds. And you mentioned Rory is here. Rory has won this event. He has lost in a playoff. I believe he lost either Russell Henley. Yeah, he lost to Russell Henley in a playoff in like 2014 or something like that. But he has 2 missed cuts and like a T60 in his past 3 appearances. Hasn't played here since 2019. He is 6.5 to 1 at DraftKings Sportsbook at the moment. Cam Young is 20 to 1. Russell Henley is 25. Fitz has been bet down to 25. Then you have Tom Kim and Min Lee at 30, along with JT Poston. Those are the 6 guys that are 30 to 1 and below. I think you'll see if the market will figure itself out here. Some guys will get bet down to whatever it might be. We've already seen Fitz drop. I mean, I did the guess the odds. I've never been more off on someone at the top of the board. I thought Fitz was going to open at 12 to 1. He opened at 35 to 1. And we both, you bet him at 35, I bet him at 33. I don't even know if I want to bet Fitz because he's been absolute dog shit so far this season, but the number just seemed wild to me.
Yeah, I bet it.
So did I.
Phoenix. I didn't think he was that bad in Phoenix. So I don't know how but he missed the cut at the Genesis. So yeah, that means you've been dog shit, I guess. The number was too big, and I got a lot of thoughts about these odds. Just in the sense that there's a lot of, you see players like Henley and Poston, and they're just like sneaking there, surrounded by names that just have a lot more, cachet, be it Tom Kim, be it Min Woo, be it Sung Jae, be it Fitz, even be it Eric Cole, who I'm sure is super popular. So I don't know. I feel like, I don't know that I'm going to get there on them, on Henley or JT, but they just seem very sneaky. And Cam Young, full of heartbreak, but he's been quite solid in Florida. His Florida track record kind of surprised me.
I kind of made a rule for myself with Cam Young, and maybe this is not a good way to assess it, but if he's below 40 to 1, I am just not betting him. Like, he's just not worth it. He's going to have a round where he's just an abject failure. He's like Tommy Fleetwood.
I guess. I mean, you correct. I would just, yeah. Like we're just talking about outright winning. You are right. Fleetwood was just, you liked him for this course because he just can be steady. Cam is so boomer bust that at PGA National, you can just catch the train the wrong freaking way. And so sometimes those are guys that, like, for outright betting, you should probably be looking at that. But at this course, those aren't really the players I look to. Although I do think he can set, I don't know that you can overpower this place, but really good big hitters have done quite a job in showing that you can.
Well, this kind of brings me back to my point. I mean, yes, I have the money in on Fitz. I can always cash that out, probably that plus money at this point because his odds have dropped so much. But I was thinking about just backing the truck up on Rory at plus 750.
It feels like it could be time we get something big.
Doesn't it?
PJ needs its stars, Pat. You know who's not showing up right now? The stars of the PGA. You could debate who they are even in the first place, but whoever they are, like, we're sending out an all points bulletin. Like, you guys need to start showing up.
How do you feel about Rory here, though? Like, would you?
I like it.
Would you want to make that
This
bet?
has been one of the few rare times where I haven't thought about the very top at all. I don't know that I could. I don't know that I still want to, but I had the first time thought maybe I want to stomach it. I need as high as possible, but I like him here.
I mean, this course is so weird because looking at course history, I think is completely foolish. I mean, there are some courses which I think lend itself really well to course history. This is most of the Florida courses are not. I mean, in Bay Hill, maybe, because you do see a lot of the similar players pop up year over year. But like the players in Honda, especially with that much water on the course, like guys just blow up. And the thing that always sticks out in my mind here is that year that Brennan Steele, I think, ended up coming fourth and everyone was on him, but he was like 8 over through 8 holes or something. And he like rallied to come back in the cup. But you can just get it going so bad that I don't know. What do you think his odds are to miss the cut this week?
Rory?
Yeah. Like, do you think it's more likely he wins at 7-1 or misses the cut at 5-1?
I don't think it'd be crazy to, if you wanted to bet Rory, I don't think it'd be crazy to bet him to miss the cut. Also, just a little sprinkle, because the variance of outcomes at a place like this is quite large. And the only reason I know this is happening today, Pat, is because of the sports book, because they featured it on the golf page. But there's a match today, I think.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. It's like Rory, Homa, someone and someone.
Lexi and Rosang.
Okay. Yeah, these matches don't really... If I, guy who professionally covers golf, is kind of unaware that things are happening, you might need to do a better job of promotion.
I don't disagree. I mean, I know they had a conference call last week, but who's even paying attention?
I don't care about these things. Like, these things don't interest me. It's one of the main reasons that I like where LIV kind of feels like an exhibition event. Like, yeah, I'll tune into LIV. It's fun to throw on. If I'm just at home, I'll throw on LIV. I'll watch it. But I have never found that LIV has been appointment viewing for me. The one day when there was no PGA on, because I normally watch PGA on Sundays, I'll tune into LIV. It was a fun leaderboard. It was in Mexico at a course I know. Then, yeah, I'll tune into that. I had nothing else going on. I'll watch it. If I'm at home and I'm flicking through the channels and the matches on, I was like, oh, yeah, I'll tune into that. But it's most definitely not appointment viewing. Like, is it appointment viewing for anyone? Is it appointment viewing for Rory? Like, is he taping it and like watching it back later? Is he like, yeah, just give me my paycheck and let me get out of here?
Rory has never been, and maybe people debate, but I've never seen Rory as like, I got to get home to watch Rory golf. Like, he's never been appointment TV. If you're watching golf and you get to watch Rory, that's always a plus. But I don't think it's like Rory's golfing. We got to get home to watch it. Now, granted, maybe Tiger's truly the only person who's ever really carried that sort of weight.
I feel like Spieth did for a little bit.
Maybe.
Not necessarily for us, but I think for the larger viewing audience, that Spieth has that magic where people actively root for him, especially when he was in his like true golden boy run, when he won 3 majors in like 4 years. It's like, oh, Spieth's in the mix. We got to see if he can win this.
Yeah, that's very plausible. I was, pulling my hair out with those, with the magic, but it was quite a time. It's quite a time. And honestly, today is probably the most entertaining guy to watch on TV play golf, to be perfectly honest.
I would tend to
I
agree.
watched ESPN, I guess a Sunday conversation thing that they do on Sports Center. I only saw it on the YouTube, not that I would actually see that on the TV. It was about a 9-minute sit down with Rom that aired yesterday.
Oh yeah.
He pretty much, like, not that he didn't deny it before, but he acknowledged, like, clearly, like, this was just for the money. He acknowledged that once the PGA Tour decided they were going to merge or potentially merge, that changed everything for him, as everyone assumed, like, well, now maybe I can have my cake and eat it too. He acknowledged the obvious point that maybe he, like, winning the Masters really freed him to do whatever the fuck he wanted. And yeah, he already had the US Open major, but it's like now, right, just once he won the Masters, he's like, that's when I really, my head thought that maybe I could just do this. Should do this. And he acknowledged that he probably would have done it sooner, but he was worried about public criticism.
I could see that. I mean, if no one wants to take that kind of heat. And I mean, I didn't see it, but did he make mention of the guys that went first kind of took the bullets for everyone who's going second? Like, now no one cares.
No, that didn't really come up. But what I find like the craziest thing in all of it, Pat, and like the most genius thing, if he actually pulled it off, which seems like he did, is not having his cake. I'm sure at some point he will get a play in the DP events and the PGA events he wants. But he sits up there in that hat and shirt that I don't even, Legion's the name. It's a sharp white and pink. Like, I think that's a sharp look. Callaway gave this fucking guy equity, man. They gave the guy equity. And he could sit up there doing something like that with no Callaway or anything, any of their co-brands anywhere. Fuck. Wild. Like, wild. Good for him.
Should we talk about
Callaway must be pulling their hair out. I mean that. They must be like, what the fuck did we do? We gave this guy equity. There's probably no golfer on earth that's worth it.
Tiger.
Outside of like a Tiger in a previous life.
Okay, let's talk about the top of the odds board again. I weirdly think, because like I said, I'm not tied to the Fitzpatrick bet because I can cash that out. I like Tom Kim better.
I always like Tom Kim better.
Just when you kind of see where he has popped in the past, it's at accuracy-based courses, Bermuda greens. We've seen a lot of guys who play well at Wyndham and Heritage do this kind of the same thing here. This is sort of like, a distant cousin of that weird Pete Dye swing where you think that like Siwoo would be really good here. So like Sony Open, Russell Henley has won both. Ryan Palmer has done really well at both those courses over time. So like the shorter tracks, yes, it's a par 71 this year, but that doesn't actually change anything. Yes, the one hole was lengthened by 30 yards and now it's called a par 5. It doesn't make a difference. It's better for like DraftKings scoring because it does change up like how the whole rotation goes because you always wanted to avoid guys starting on number 10 because number 10 was like the hardest hole on the course. Now it might be the easiest hole on the course relative to par, but the actual scores aren't going to change. So if it's just, he hasn't been able to find his putter. He's still hitting a ton of fairways. The approach play has been really good. He just can't putt. And what we've seen from him throughout the course of his young career so far is that he either loses a bunch of strokes putting or gains all of the strokes putting. So you just kind of have to back him and hope it's one of the weeks where he can putt.
I don't even know what quantifies at the top of the odds board here.
I read you the 6 names that were 30 and below.
Yeah. I don't know. There's not. I guess for the final time, Tom Kim is under 30. Okay. How do you put this? He's probably like 14-1 here last year as well.
Did he play this last year? I don't think he's ever played here.
You got me. All these guys, man, like not a lot of them are playing great. Fitzpatrick, Sungjae, Minwoo, Tom Kim, but maybe the smart. Sorry, I guess I'm going past the good names, but I don't know. It's kind of a blur to me on what's under 30-1 here. It just seems like the whole field is 30-50.
It is, and we'll get to that range because that's the range that everyone kind of wants to hit. When I read you the 6 names, I assumed you were listening to me, but.
I was, but it's just I load up a sheet and then I don't even and then these guys aren't on it, and then it's like I don't even remember what those odds were, and everything like they almost be 28. To me, it's Rory, Cam Young, Russell, and Poston, and I guess Fitz has crashed. Mm-hmm. You're telling me Tom Kim has crashed, but I didn't know he was under 30, so I'm sorry I got confused.
He's at 30. So
okay.
What about Henley? Like, will you bet Henley or bet Poston? Because those numbers seem weird, right?
Yeah, they seem weird. I'm being like distracted by the fun toys that I like, by the guys I was confident were going to be awesome this year, like a Tom Kim, like a Minwoo. But JT, like he seems perfect for here, right? Weren't these the type of courses that people were loving to bet him at in the swing season where people lost a lot of money? I'm thinking it was his moment or early in the year. And Russ, I'm just not there with Russ. I'll bet my own guys who will give me heartburn. Like, I'll bet my own guys. But he seems like a great fit here. And he could be the double green. The green on the roulette board.
Oh, I think that people will back Henley here. I mean, this is just one of the courses where you back Russell Henley. He plays well at difficult courses. He's won this tournament before. And he wins like the adjacent tournaments that kind of fall in line with the short Bermuda tracks. Like, it makes a lot of sense. I'm not going to get there at 25-1.
And if you don't believe in Rory, sort of like totally opens up.
You either have to hope that Rory has a really bad, not really bad driving round, but not an excellent driving round in rounds 1 or 2, or that he just legit can't putt for the week. Like, those are the two options of fading Rory here. Because if he has even his B- game, I think he stomps everyone, which is terrifying.
And I feel like some of his struggles are perception and not reality.
I mean, he's already won this year.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He had a win and a great finish in the Middle East, and I don't know. You can like just hyper focus on the PGA results and ignore some of that, and you could think that he's not playing nearly as well as he is, but he's playing great.
Yeah, I mean, the approach play at Genesis was really bad. He took that weird penalty after the round. Like, he played really well round 1 at Pebble Beach, and then it was just kind of the end of him after the round. He got assessed the penalty, and he just sucked in the final 2 rounds. So maybe he's, like you mentioned, all these top guys aren't necessarily in their best form, and then you have this entire group. So maybe let's go to the group that you want to talk about. There's like 30 to 60, because I've bet 2 guys from in here already, and you could sell me on even more, because this is where I'm going to load up this week. I bet Daniel Berger at 38-1, and I bet Keith Mitchell at 45-1. Mitchell's like approach game especially, but like tee to green game, ball striking has been immaculate. He just cannot putt at the moment. But, I've seen him win here before. At least I know at least one year he was able to figure out these greens.
I really like the Berger shout. I've seen enough life to think maybe this could be time for him at a course that he's really played, great at in his career. Eric Cole probably be popular. It's just a no bueno for me.
I can't do it.
It's just a no bueno. I don't know exactly where he's from, but this could be like his 5th major home game as well. He's gonna have a lot of friends and family and a lot of local shit, and he's the man now. So maybe he is ready to win, but I'm not. I got my own losers I'd like to back, like potentially a Daniel Berger. Sung J M 35-1. The ball striking just has not been there, Pat. It hasn't been there. But when you deep dive Sung J, you see that he's come out of slumps with like a 7 strokes gained ball strike. Like he can come out of it with with the ceiling effort. So that's why I never want to poo-poo him here. Lowry's dominated Florida. He might be the best, like, Florida golfer. Or maybe he just plays in the shitty events. I'm not sure. So, like, relative to the other good players, he's got the best, like, base Florida stat lines. And I could keep going. They're, like, this is where it can get embarrassing for me. But, Corey Connors flirting with a 50-1 in some places. So attractive. I can't ignore that.
That is super attractive. I guess here's the problem. Like, be it Tom Kim, be it Shane Lowry, be it Corey Connors, because they all rate out great for me. They're going to rate out great for everyone. And one of those guys is going to putt well. But I think the final, like the top 4 last year had like 4 of the 5 best putters in the field. Like, even watching that final round, like Kirk and Cole were making everything. And you're going to need to bring your flat stick, and it's going to get hot. And I don't, unless this plays as difficult as the year that we were there and Sung Jae won at -6, which it doesn't seem like it's going to be. Like, just add in the extra par 5, who cares? We'll call that -10. But that's irrelevant, just the total strokes, that if it plays on the more difficult side, I do believe that Connors is super live, because the putting will mean less, because his ball striking will be more important in that sense. But if we get to a point where the winning score is going to be like -16, -17, like outside of Valero, where does Corey Connors putt well?
Yeah, so that is, I mean, and there's a couple guys who I want to almost put in that group. Like Ben Ann, who you feel like could be a perfect little mix here, and even a Steven Yeager, who I feel like I guess I need to back the bus up, because sometimes I have a perception of like I can get these players who can't putt, and I tell myself if they just shoot 2 under a day, I'm in position to win. But you're telling me maybe this bitch isn't as hard as I remember, or I want to remember it?
Well, last year, minus 14 was the lowest score relative to par, and that was at a par 70 since 2010 when Camilo Villegas won. So it's been minus 14. It's been minus 14, minus 13 the past 2 years. And I'm looking at the forecast already. Like, there's no rain in the forecast coming up. There's some like moderately high winds on Friday and Saturday, but it's like it's not even reaching like 20 miles per hour. Like, that's when it gets super tough. When there's like, we even saw like just when you lose the ability to hit the ball super far in the colder conditions, in the rain, and you don't get that rollout, like what screwed Lowry that year that Straka won on the final hole when he had to play in the monsoon and Straka only had to putt in the monsoon on the very final hole. That then, yeah, like distance is going to become a far more major factor. Then the long irons are going to become a more major factor. But like, as long as you just hit the ball accurately off the tee and just like avoid the water for, not even avoid the water completely for 4 rounds, like just limit the amount of times that you hit it into the water, like you can score on this course. It's not that bad.
So yeah, so there's a lot of these guys who I believe on this course I can trust, and they are losers. Alex Noren, loser. Ben Ann, like it feels like all of golf internet's going to want to will this guy. And you, for all your things you got wrong yesterday, Pat, you nailed the Ben Ann number. 40 to 1. That's going to be, I'm certainly bet down because he does feel like he's right for the moment. And we're recording this early on Monday, and Steven Yeager finished, I think, 12th or something here last year. He had a great week last week. Outside of like, he seems to me like the perfect player for here, other than the fact if it gets to that north of 12 under, then I'm probably fucked if I bet him.
Yeah, so maybe that's the way to go with it this week. Like, if you think it's going to be a harder course, just almost do what Raza does on DraftKings and like lean into one path. Like, do you think it's going to be a week where the ball striking is really going to take over and you're not going to need a guy who gains 5 strokes putting? And then you can lean into Lowry, and I mean, Lowry's actually putted well at this course. It's like one of the few courses where he does putt well, but like Connors never has. I'm even looking at someone like Tom Hoagie, who's been on fire recently. He's just firing at pins. He's keeping the ball in play. He's making putts right now. He's never putted well at this course, ever.
You like Min Woo played here last year.
He did. I bet him here last year.
What did he do?
I think he was like T24 or something like that.
Also, you said don't even get attracted to course history because it's just one water ball early and it's over.
Yeah, he was T20.
No, I shouldn't say that. You could Brandon Steele your way into a lovely week.
Well, Min Woo's a weird one because Min Woo would actually be one that I would want to back here. I mean, the putting hasn't been there so far this year, but his entire game is like great driving and putting. Like, that can work here. When I described his stat profile when I did the research show this week, he's sort of like 80% Bryson. When Bryson was, remember when he when he won Rocket Mortgage and he was first in putting, he was first in driving, and nothing else really mattered for him? That's how Min Woo is going to win. He's going to have like a break-even approach week. He'll be like decent around the greens, but he's going to drive a ton, he's going to putt a ton, and that's his path. And I don't know if this is the right course for that.
Probably isn't. Probably isn't, but he does the driver putter recipe. I mean, that'll work for you at any course if you're going to be great off the tee and great with the putter.
How do you feel about Rasmus Højgaard playing this week? 50 to 1. He has played 5 times on the DP World Tour in 2024. He has yet to finish worse than 11th.
I'm a sucker for any Højgaard. They hit it so lovely and straight. Feel like it can play anywhere.
I'm thinking that too, because Olason's in this field too. He's 60 to
1. What about Luke List?
List is...
He might be a real golfer.
He might be. I mean, he was making everything at Riviera, and then he stopped making everything, and then it was like, oh no, he's Luke List again. But he's played
this number. I don't know. I'm shaking because I'm kind of excited about betting him at. Is there 60 out there?
Is there a 60? I mean, it depends. The odds are so all over the place depending on where you look this week. That List is, what's the List? I guess I see him at 50.
50,
where I'm looking.
50. Yeah, 50. 50's
is probably going to be the number. And in that range, you have Pavon, who is number 1 in the FedEx Cup standings right now. Straka is right there, who has a win and a top 5 the past 2 years here. Svensson rates out really well. This should be a good course for Rose. You mentioned Jaeger. I bet Mitchell. Ricky, Hoagie, Hostler, Noren, Thunderbear. Bezadenhout is a fantastic look, I think, this week with the way that he's been playing. He's been on the cusp of finally breaking through, and this is more of an accuracy putting-based course that, you can make a very compelling case for a lot of these guys. And like even someone like Bhatia. I think Bhatia is a really good look, mainly because he hits so many fairways that I don't think that he's going to put himself into a lot of crappy situations off the tee, but he's another one. Like, can he make enough putts? I would feel more comfortable with him at 75 to 1 than some of these guys who can't putt at like 30 to 1.
I could see why that makes sense. You ran by a few names there that I like. Rose seems like could be lovely here.
I like all of them. I mean, I'm not going to bet 13 guys at 50 to 1.
I know, but as you read that last group of names, Pat, I mean, obviously based on what I'm probably going to do in front of that, I'd rather I gotta lose money with my determined losers than bet on Rory. Like there's just too many losers who I might want a taste of. Than to think that I could do anything with Rory and I'll miss 7.5 to 1.
Okay, I mean, I'm with you. Like I said, I've already put in bets on. Once I bet Berger and Mitchell, then there's no Rory on the card. Now I need to figure out what I'm going to do from around there.
Hey, you could have done Rory, Berger, Mitchell.
Sure, I'm not.
Squeal. I didn't mean to squeal like a pig there. Who else did we? I feel like Denny McCarthy would have been 25 to 1 last year here, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I never bet Denny, so it like doesn't bother me that he's never won, so it's never come back to cost me. He'll get his win, I think, at some point, and this would be a course where he can most definitely do it, but just he's not going to get my money.
I get it. Yeah, like I bet Doug Gim last week 75 to 1. This week, I guess maybe we're a little past your zone. I don't know where we put our guardrails up. Noren is always I've mentioned how he missed that List JT playoff here, but he's been, I don't even want to say quiet, but he's been playing quality golf. Yeah, there's too many losers here for me. I like too many losers. Last week, I think was the first time I ever bet Steven Jaeger, and I don't mind him either this week.
So you've mentioned like 18 names. Is there anyone like you actually really like that you're most definitely going to bet? Like everyone bet Fitz because of the number, but no one seems to actually like Fitz. It was just, which isn't always the worst thing to do. Like he didn't win, but that's how I think we all ended up on Burns at the American Express. Like that number's really big for Sam Burns in this field. And this number seemed really big for Matt Fitzpatrick in this field. And at least he can putt.
Yeah,
so
I
that's
agree.
helpful.
And on a golf course that I really trust him on. Like when that driver's on, it's just long and straight. I trust his ability to scramble, to save those pars against the other names here. Yeah, it's a very trustable name at 35 to 1 on a Monday morning. You said maybe like the week sinks in, you could move off it for other names. But there's just so much in like 30 to 60.
Yeah, and which means it's either going to be like Russell Henley who wins or someone just completely off the board. Because we've seen, it's not that those type of players win often here, but there's always one or two semi-popular like long shot guys who are in the mix here. Like we've just talked about how many that we've just missed who've come in second place. We have so many. This might be the tournament where we have the most second place finishers ever. Because did you have Mac Hughes the year that Sungjae won?
No,
you didn't. You were just talking to his
I had
mom.
Sungjae and I had Fleetwood who put it in the water, chasing down Sungjae, and that was when me and Mac Hughes' mom were chatting it up on 18. That was a great day.
So from that 60 to 100, just very briefly, Bhatia was really the only one that I was going to give some consideration to. Maybe Ryan Fox, but he's just been really bad. But he dominated putting on Bermuda last year. Like once they got to Florida, Ryan Fox was a lot better.
Like I was shocked last week you bet Knapp over Fox at I think was the same number.
Because he was driving the ball like shit.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really focused on either of them, but I know you are pro Fox. Fox.
I like Fox a lot, but if his weapon is his driver, and he can like periodically make putts, and he plays really well in links golf. But I don't know. It seems like he's
why bet Minwoo why bet Minwoo at 30 when you can bet Taylor Montgomery at like 80 or 90?
I mean, is that someone you want to bet?
No, I just said the driver putter.
I mean, you have to remember Taylor Montgomery doesn't hit the ball that far off the tee, and he's not hitting fairways right now. Like currently in this field, over the past 24 rounds, he's 98th in driving distance and 130th in accuracy. Number 1 in putting though. So he can pop for sure, but there's nothing suggesting with the rest of his game that he's going to have enough birdie tries in order to win this tournament.
You mentioned Bez, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so honestly, like 60 to 100, 50 to 100, that's a name that I think I notice. I sometimes like to ride losers. There's too many names I like to see myself investing in. Doug Gim. At the 100 level, I am seeing Matt Wallace.
So you want to go 100 to 1 and above?
Oh, sorry. There's Matt Wallace like an 80, 90, playing some good golf. He seems to... Maybe it's because there's always memory of meeting him in Florida. Not me personally, but just he showed up on that Bay Hill that Molinari won, and I think he should enjoy Florida off a nice little week last week.
Matt Wallace plays really well in shitty fields. In this field, I think is too strong for him. Like he had that nice run at API. He had a nice run at Bethpage like 6 years ago when List finished inside the top 10. But other than that, like it's been Punta Cana, Mexico Open, like just jabroni fields for him.
Maybe like Honda last year or the year before, but now it's a little bit better. So
yeah, like
too hard for him.
What did he finish last year? What did he finish last week? Sorry, what did he end up with? Like top 10, T8 or something?
Honestly, it's all a blur. I know that Jagger and like Chan Kim were at 14.
You hit a blur. You hit on the magic name, by the way.
For this week, Chan?
4chan.
4chan.
Sponsored by Rumble, probably.
How big of a number is that?
He's like 175 or something.
Yeah, not bad. Hey, like you said, I don't know if that'll be the popular long shot, but I will tail your a couple of your bombs here, Pat. Well, I've tailed them before, and they've been fun sweats.
Yeah, even List was like 90 to 1 the year that we were on him for that. So like the each ways have paid really well on a lot of these long shots. Although I do remember like planting a flag in the ground. It was one of the very first few years that we were doing this, and I would put the flag in the ground of like, here's like the long shot guy that I'm putting like $100 on. Remember we did it to Griot at the Players one year, and I think he finished 34 over par. I did the same thing for Zach Blair here one year. I think he legitimately finished plus 17. So
little Z Bizzle.
So yeah, Wallace won Punta Cana last year in March, right around this time. He had actually finished 29th at this tournament, gained 7 strokes on approach, and was just a horrible driver. Valspar, he finished 7th, and then it trended towards this win at Corrales. And then he came 28th the next week at Valero, and then he basically just missed cuts and had one finish inside the top 40 over the next calendar year until last week. So maybe this is the part of the year where he gets hot. I don't know, but that would be a stay away for me. I have 3 not big bombs, but 3 bombs that I like, who I think fit this course
over
really
100
and above, that I think fit this course really well based on what they do. And generally it's decent driving, but like plus accuracy, and really good from 175 to 200 over the short term. Like good with their longer irons. That way you can attack the par fives. That's where you need to score on this course. And it helps mitigate some of the issues for some of the shorter hitters on the longer par fours and the longer par threes. Like if you can just tread water on the par fours and par threes at this course and just beat up the par fives, you are going to be fine. But you need to be able to tread that water in that spot. So Eckroat is the first one. Hits a ton of fairways and is great with his long irons. Those are like the two things that he does well. So I like Eckroat this week. Yeah, you can get him as high as 125 to 1. Chan Kim, who you mentioned, I just think he's coming in with really good form, but another super accurate player. Coming into the field, just had a very nice. He's 33rd in driving distance. He's about mid-range in terms of accuracy, so I think that's good enough for me. But gained a ton of strokes in accuracy last week in Mexico, so maybe that's going back up. He's top 30 in the field in terms of approach over the past 24. Dude can't putt to save his life, so that's an issue. But I think that for the odds that he's at, I think you can accept a lot of that risk. And the other one's Carson Young. I'll be betting Carson Young first round leader. If someone wants to give me the Carson Young over Cam Young bet, which I always enjoy, but he's like sort of the prime type of loser. He's like Eric Cole from last year. He just hits a bunch of fairways. Sometimes his approach play is pretty good, and he generally makes a lot of putts. And when I did my rewatch, he was third going after the first round last year. So first round leader bet for sure on Carson Young, regardless of what the wave splits are going to be later on in the week. But you can get him at like 150 to 1. Those would be the three bombs that I really like this week.
Yeah. I'm intrigued by Young and Eckroat.
But not Chan Kim.
Yeah, that's going to be a thing. Sure.
He was 14th at the American Express. He missed the cut at Torrey. Then he had a top 10 last week. Like he won twice on the Corn Ferry Tour last year, I think. He can play.
Okay. What was his number?
I believe it's 175. Let's see what's at now. No, it's Tom Kim. Chan Kim,
200 without placings.
I would want the placings on these guys. The other one to kind of just of note, played really well last week, is Bobby Mack.
Okay, so that's where I was going to go. You would have thought that, I get he'd been playing really bad and he'd had some balloon numbers. I would have thought, I know it's Mexico, but you think that he would have a bit of equity in the market where like showing life would bring him under 100.
I thought so too. But not the case.
Why?
He's 66th in the world rankings. Not that that means a ton, but it's better than being 666th. But yeah, he sucked at the American Express. He sucked at Farmers. He sucked in Phoenix, and then boom, all of a sudden we get a T6. I don't know what to make of it. I think he's better than this. Like, did he make the Ryder?
Really well. He played really well on the on Saturday and Sunday in Mexico.
Did he make the Ryder Cup team? I can't remember. He didn't, did he?
Yeah. And then Rose, right? Rose, they sent him out with Rose, and he had a nice putt for a half on his first match, and then he won his singles. I want to say he was lovely. Yeah, that's what I mean. He's a Ryder Cup player. I mean, you could take that for what it's worth, but I was just shocked. I understood the number was like getting bad because he was playing horribly, but I thought like one like really nice week would have not put him into like 40, 50, 60 to 1, but again, just gotten him in front of 100. It has not. Good shout there. And what about, who did I bet? I said Doug Gim, but I'm hoping Justin Suh. Another loser.
So Justin Suh is very interesting, I think, this week, because last year he kept having these decent performances. Like he kept having these top 10s where he finished wildly out of everything based off the strength of his putter. Dude was lights out on the greens at every tournament last year except one, this one, and he led the field in ball striking. Which is insane to think about. He just needed to have an average week, and he would have run away with the tournament last year. If he had just had even his like 50th percentile outcome on the greens of what he had all season, he beats Kirk and Cole by like 5 strokes based on the way he drove the ball and hit his approaches. But he had it going for a little bit in round 1 in Mexico, and then things went off the rails for him. It was bad news. I'm surprised you didn't bring up Dietrich.
What's the point, man? I mean, maybe like the good, like he bottomed out in Mexico last week. So maybe that's, could use that, or at least people who like him for his number. Get people off the scent, but just I don't know. What am I supposed to do with that?
This I do not know. So, yeah.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that. I had a question about because my computer's being wonky and the screen isn't changing.
See, there we go. This is going to make for more engaging content now that you're not just looking at a computer screen.
Well, I am looking at a computer screen, but it seems frozen on something. Is so historically like decent Bermuda putter?
He's a decent putter everywhere. The dude just dominates on the greens. Over the course of his career, he is gaining 1.5 strokes putting per event. Over his past 20 tournaments, he's gaining 3 strokes per event on the greens. Dude just crushes on the greens every single week, except for this tournament last year. So, of his 2023 starts, from the American Express through the Wyndham Championship, he lost strokes putting once. He lost a stroke here, and he gained 10.8 strokes tee to green. He gained 7 strokes tee to green at the Players' Championship, and outside of that, he never gained over 5. So I don't know what it was about this run last year, but his Florida swing last year was 5th at the Honda, 24th at API, 6th at the Players, and 45th at Valspar. So he played pretty well.
So you gave out some good suggestions. This would be mine north of 100.
I can get behind that. It feels like one of those weeks where you could go with 5 of those guys 30 to 60 and 5 guys from 100 to 1. It's all the same amount of money. It doesn't really matter. You could take all those guys and it's the equivalent of betting Rory, Fitz, and Bhatia or something. Instead, you get 10 guys at a high variance tournament.
Yeah, I have a real hard time at quick picks. Want to talk LIV?
There's LIV this week?
Yeah, they're in Jeddah. See, another thing. I know you're off vacation, so maybe this isn't a good example, and Tim will be like, you do golf content. You're supposed to know this stuff, Pat.
Okay, so here's where Tim is at. Tim is tweeting out terrible chicken wing sauce lists, and he put out a tweet yesterday. You know how he's very pro Lamar? And Lamar's the second best quarterback after Mahomes. He put out this tweet yesterday disparaging Tua and how bad his EPA is within 1 to 8 points. But it also had Lamar as being really bad on that list too. So I don't know what he's trying to tell us here. Lamar's as bad as Tua. Okay. I don't. It was just very strange.
Also, he was the only person on earth who didn't see that. Who was trying to give genuine props to that Richard Bland tweet that LIV sent out congratulating him on the top 14s or something. Tim was getting offended. And he, when he doesn't know when people are being sarcastic. So then he's showing me things of people clearly being sarcastic, being no, see, people are really respecting this Bland accomplishment.
What it was 14 straight top 26 finishes on LIV Tour or something. Great, man.
It was something about the top 14. It was here. Top 14 finishes. Oh, sorry. Yeah, in 6 of his last 7 events, he's come in the top 14.
Fantastic news, Dick Bland. He also, in the picture they showed, he looks like he's 80 fucking years old.
Yeah, which is great. I'm sure in team golf, he's not letting the cliques down, which is big. And I think that's I forget which team.
Yeah, he's on Cleeks GC.
Yeah, Cleeks GC.
It's him. Okay. It's him and all the other really washed Euros. It's Keimer, Poulter, Bland.
Yeah, the Cleeks. They might have. I don't even know which team let McDowell go.
It was them. They let him smash. He was so bad they let him go.
Wow. Okay, fun. Trying to find. So they're in Jeddah this week, Pat, and Anthony Kim is by all accounts
Tony
signed
Kim
up and playing. I can't deny I don't know. The guy hasn't played for 12 years. He's 150 to 1. He's not the same odds as Kevin Na.
I was going to say,
embarrassing for some of these guys.
I was going to say, can you name the guys that Anthony Kim has better odds than on LIV this week? It is Kevin Na, Charles Schwartzel, Matt Jones, who put this tournament, the Cognizant, away so quickly one year, it was unwatchable.
Yes.
That may have been the single, I think it was 2021. He shot a 61 on Thursday, and it was just over. No one even came close. Like, I think Brandon Hagee came in second. It was crazy. So Anthony Kim has better odds than Kevin Na, Charles Schwartzel, Matt Jones, Pat Perez, Phil, Lee Westwood, Kalle Smuja, Kyron Vincent, Junichiro Kuzma, Martin Keimer, Danny Lee, and Hudson Swafford. Hasn't played in fucking 25 years.
I really don't know what to make of it. Like, I guess it's nice and it's intriguing, but I don't think anyone who isn't already watching golf like cares. Like, the only people that care about Anthony Kim are the people in our like niche orbit who already care about like checking out how golfers play. That makes any sense. Keeping up with things. There's no one who's like not connected who gives a shit about Anthony Kim. And then the fact, like, if you're Anthony Kim, like, you making your return in fucking Jeddah, like, am I missing something? Like, why don't you wait 3 weeks and play at Doral?
Or maybe
like,
maybe he's playing
That's
there
so
too.
Weird. I understand that, or maybe I guess it's just like, no, this is my exhibition, and I don't mean exhibition in like, I don't mean to take a thing at LIV. I just mean like you think it's gonna get publicity outside of our orbit?
No.
That Anthony, yeah,
It would get more. It would get more pub if he was playing in the Honda this week.
Maybe, but he's obviously made a decision, and obviously the PGA can't make certain guarantees that LIV can make, and LIV is obviously making good on his insurance. And
100%. No, I understand.
once he
but
tees it up, though,
I'm excited to check it out. I didn't realize that was happening this week and that he was in the field. So yes, I will. And it's good because it's in Saudi Arabia, so it will be on at like different times than the PGA, so I can just watch both. Like, it's like when I wake up early and watch. It's like when I wake up early and watch, the Dubai Desert Hero Classic. It'll be no different.
It's always enjoyable anytime you golf from over the world, be it in Asia that's on it like before bed, or places where it's on like you got to watch the end of rounds waking up. I don't disagree with that. And I myself am intrigued. I just don't know what like actually comes of it for them. I respect Anthony Kim. Totally take the money. Like, the myth isn't worth the money to Anthony Kim. Like, right? The myth that like people who love golf and have created, the Anthony Kim story is fun, but that doesn't pay him. Like, the myth of Anthony Kim doesn't get him money. I guess the myth of him got him this LIV money, but I mean, like, the fans on Twitter who enjoy the myth, that's not worth anything. So he's got to cash in on it. And good for him, I guess. It'll be so weird. I wonder if he's still even with Nike. Like, the weird thing. I'm interested in all like the little weird things as much as Kenny Golf. That being said, if they want to give me a Sam Horsfield head-to-head, I'd fucking take it. I said that randomly. Maybe a Chikara. I would lay juice. Chinkara's minus is 125 to win. I'd lay juice. I'd lay juice on a lot of guys. I take Poulter over Kim. Like, what matchup they want to toss?
Yeah, I'm
looking to pick on Jake Knapp this week.
I was gonna
say, obviously, and that guy fucking won yesterday. So obviously, I'm looking to pick on the guy who's flying halfway across the world, who hasn't played in 12 years. If I'm looking to find a matchup against the dude who fucking won yesterday, who's giving her hard right, who's waking up, he doesn't even know where he's waking up.
If anyone wants to give me an Andy Ogletree versus Anthony Kim bet, I will take Andy Ogletree. They're the same odds to win this week.
Yeah, I imagine the only head-to-head we get is like the Kalle Smuja. It's like a Tiger thing. It's like, yeah, the outright number is one thing, but we're not giving you even money versus the other guys at that outright number because the outright number is a sham. That being said, Pat, oh my God, this is LIV's fault. This is LIV's fault I have this thought. the hardos are going to be upset with me, but when I can never win. I literally can never win. We do a thing where I think we're actually saying nice things about LIV a few weeks ago, and the people in the comments are like, rah, 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 like, what the fuck? I thought I just complimented them for 15 minutes. Holy shit. So what do I know? Maybe it's like rigged and he wins. That's LIV's fault. I have that thought. That's not my fault. That's LIV's fault. But I thought Mickelson would win the first event because it could be rigged, and he didn't. That was a joke. I don't actually think it's rigged. That's all a joke. But maybe it's all set up for him to win.
Let's talk LIV odds for a second, though, because Rahm's the favorite. Rahm's going to be the favorite in all these tournaments. This is where Brooks won and cried. Was it last year, 2 years ago? Wasn't that it?
Yeah, I guess it was it. Would have been it, I think. One of these Middle East things.
Do you have any like actual bets for this? Because there are certain guys in this tournament. I mean, like Rahm is kind of like the best names are just going to play. Like Dustin used to go over and dominate like the Saudi Open kind of thing, and he played really well. He won LIV Vegas, didn't he? Yeah, he did. But like we just saw in the Middle East this week, I think it was in Oman that Carlos Ortiz won. He ran down Mito in the final round of that Asian Tour event. But Mito opens at like 35-1 here. That's pretty good. Like Bubba and HV3 have had a lot of success at the Saudi International back in the day. I know that they're not playing the best golf right now, although Varner was much better in Vegas than he was in Mexico to start the season. That those guys are pretty deep odds, to be perfectly honest with you. And Andy Ogletree, the guy just kept winning on the Asian Tour. Like, why not here?
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't know. Patrick Reed, I feel like he's played well in the Middle East before as well. And even Peter Uline at 40. He feels like he's been a pretty consistent LIV player. But that is just a perception. I don't have any bets yet, though. I do not.
I think I'll go with Mito. I'll take Mito.
I don't mind that. You did mention Mito, like showing life seems like is a worthy cause to start looking into Mito. You're waiting for him to get kickstarted, obviously, with the exciting news, Patrick. We saw Neiman getting that exemption. I don't know if there'll be more along the way here, maybe for a guy like Louis or some other deserving folk, but I was excited. I was really happy to see the Masters' commitment to really just hosting the best fucking golf tournament on earth. That is their sole commitment. And they can do anything they want in order to make that happen.
I was surprised Louis didn't get it, because Louis won back-to-back in South Africa to close last year. And he's had so much history at Augusta anyway, that one seemed strange to me, that he didn't get the invite too.
Who else got it? It was Thorbjorn and a Japanese player. Someone.
It wasn't the guy. No, it was Ryu, wasn't it? Who got it? Because I thought it was going to be the guy who just won on the DP World Tour, but it wasn't. And it wasn't Oman. February.
I think it was Ryu. It wasn't you're right. It wasn't the guy that won 2 weeks ago in Europe or on the European Tour.
Yeah.
That was like Kawamori or something.
Yeah, so last week, so maybe Louis might actually. What are Louis' odds this week? Louis is
25.
I mean, that's not bad. So the top three on the leaderboard in Oman, Ortiz won at -19. He ran away with it in the third round, really. In the final round, he shot a 65. Louis was second. Neiman was third. Mito was fourth. And my guy, Mav Antcliffe. Love that guy. The Luke List of the DP World Tour. Apparently now plays on the Asian Tour. He also came in fourth. Uline was sixth. Matthew Wolff was seventh. David Puig was 10th. Lucas Herbert was also 10th. Like, some LIV guys really showed out at this tournament. They're already over there. They're not making the trip this week. I don't know what everyone else's plans are, but I assume like DJ is in South Carolina hanging out with Craig from Southern Charm and Paulina, and he'll get on a jet like Tuesday and head over there. So I think that there might be some value here on some of these longer shot guys. Like, I don't have a ton of interest in Ortiz, but like Puig is interesting to me. You mentioned Uline, like that might be a good look. What are Herbert's odds? Herbert is 60-1. Like, that range for LIV this week might be the play, but Let's see. 2 years ago,
Should I bet Thomas Peters?
No, that guy's fucking trash, man. Wolf might actually be the bet. What are Wolf's odds? Wolf is 40 to 1.
He was like 40 with those other guys you mentioned, just behind Mito.
So I'm looking at it right now. In 2022, LIV Jeddah, Brooks won in a playoff over Uline. Neiman and Sergio were tied for third. Then Wolf was actually fifth with Dustin and Casey. Then you had Schwartzel was actually up there inside the top 10. Answer, Gooch. So not a lot of the guys. Let's see what happened last year in this tournament, 2023. Shout out to ESPN for having this stuff up.
I know, honestly, when I search LIV stuff, it's usually ESPN. I don't know whether it's just first in the search, but I'm too lazy. But that's usually where I end up.
So Brooks won last year, too, it looks like. Yeah, Brooks beat Gooch on the second playoff hole last year. So he's won back-to-back years at this tournament. So we just bet Brooks 10 to 1?
I don't know. Brooks is back. Brooks is almost like in the give a shit mode too, right? We're how many days to the Masters? Under 50?
Yeah. This is about the time that he heats up because he won that Jabroni tournament before the Masters too last year, remember? At like the Muni.
Yeah. At the Muni they played in wherever. I don't mind. I mentioned Uline. That could be one I'm interested in. He always just seems to be showing up on LIV, but we're also betting these things to win, and I don't know if he ever actually wins them. I just notice him near the top of leaderboards.
Bet365 has, not only do they have LIV outright odds, they also have LIV team odds.
And just like full marks to DJ for winning Vegas because, he was on a banger.
Oh, yeah.
You know it. You know it. Like there's no... like no man left behind. That's like a thing for soldiers. Well, like there's no banger left behind in the DJ Paulina world. So they must have been giving her so fucking hard. So hard. So that's like a 2-time win. Good for you, DJ.
You have to remember, DJ is like 40 now. So maybe, listen, I know that I was partying a whole lot harder at 31 than I am at 38. I'll tell you that much.
I agree, Pat. I agree. No doubt about it. But it's in Vegas.
LIV would be better if they actually had a site where I could search their leaderboards and like look up how people are doing. That would be nice. Like just
also
like, you know what? I love that you might try to put cameras on every hole that I can tune into whatever golfer I want. But I worry that might be a little bit out of reach if we can't get a standard leaderboard on the go.
What's fucking insane, okay? And the stands will defend it. It is unacceptable. When it's mid-tournament and I want the leaderboard and I go to their official site, these fucking Goombas give you the team leaderboard first.
I know.
Like, fuck all. They're trying to put it on a pedestal. And I get it. It's their thing. They're trying to put it on a pedestal. Look at this fucking field, okay? You got Ron Brooks, DJ Neiman, Gooch, Hatton, Bryson, Cam Smith. You don't need a fucking gimmick. Lose it.
Mito was sixth in this tournament last year. He was 11 under. Harold Varner
their main goal is like one day the PGA Tour is going to have like a one weekend team event. It's all going to be some great success for our goal for team golf. Go fuck yourself. It's the dumbest thing. It's the dumbest thing. And you're talking to someone who doesn't even mind the Zurich. But like this whole team, like full team thing. No, it'd be cool team golf if they actually made them play in like the formats. Maybe, but not this like we're a team, we're scoring together. That's gimmick. That is fucking gimmick. I don't care about music. The team shit, which is their livelihood, is gimmick. It's going to hold them back. They would be so much farther along without it. I mean that. I fucking mean that. But Poulter thinks his franchise we're going to be worth hundreds of millions.
Which Cust repeats over and over every time we talk to him.
Which is insane.
This was one of Richard Bland's top 14 finishes last year. He was T11.
Field is so good. These players are so good, and I miss so many of them.
Let's get to the quick picks because it's been a very long show to find out where we're
Well,
actually.
quick picks won't be easy.
Because you're already cutting me off during it? I have bet on Matthew Fitzpatrick at 33-1. I may or may not cash that out depending on what I do later in the week. All else I have in right now, I have Daniel Berger at 37-1. I have Keith Mitchell at 45-1. Those are the only two bets I have from underneath 100-1. Outside of that, I have Chan Kim at 175-1 with 5 places and Carson Young at 125-1 with 5 places. Those are the only bets that I have in so far. I'll narrow it down as the week goes along. I'll have the final bets on Wednesday, both on the show with Tambo and the free newsletter where my entire preview is going to exist. You can subscribe to that for free down in the newsletter in the description right now, but that's just where I'm at. There's 40 names that I'm trying to parse through, and I don't need to do that on a Monday morning. I don't feel the need to jump on it, so that's where I'm at. Where are you at?
Yeah, so there are names to parse through. Like you, I've made a couple bets, and I don't mean to like day trade them, but I could day trade them because when the dust settles on Fitzpatrick, we'll see. And I got it on one of those sites where I could get the full cash out if I want. That's not really my style, and I do believe in him. Also, I was one of like everybody who took some Ben Adden this morning.
I did not.
And that's already cratering. I don't feel good about it. It's a wheel of losers, though. So he deserves to be on my wheel of losers. Other than that, Tom Kim, like 33-1 that I'm seeing, I don't know that I got the stones to turn that away. So I'm confident that I'm going to play in something like that. And then there's so many suckers. Watch the show. I can't just name like 8. My list is too big right now. So I'm a mess.
And while we were talking, I bet Mito at 35 on LIV, and I bet Brooks at 10-1 on LIV. And I might add another name from like way down, be it like Ogletree or Scott Vincent or one of these guys for maybe a top 10 or top 5, whatever it might be. But that's where I'm at on LIV.
There's an exciting, I heard rumors of an exciting 3-ball going down tomorrow, Pat, between Idone, Baroff, and Powers.
Oh, yeah? Isn't Powers really good?
Yeah, Powers gets lessons from Podrig.
So does Cust via YouTube.
I guess. Yeah, we'll see. I'm sure Powers would be the favorite for the 3-ball, despite Baroff and Joe having local knowledge. They're just dads. Like, they're deep in dad life, I imagine. Like, Powers just seems to be traveling the world golfing for Golf Digest. So, but that Bermuda grass can be a bitch. I think Powers would have to be the favorite. Did
you play when we went to the DFS Open? I played with you. What the fuck am I talking about? But I played the day before as well with Reed and Raza and I think Rick. It was the 3 of us and me as a foursome the day before, whatever the fuck we were doing. But like it was the first time I had ever played on Bermuda grass, as an adult. Like I played when I was a kid down in Florida when we would go, but it is tricky, man. Like you really do have to get used to it.
It is so tricky. And I was down in Florida a couple weeks ago and I could have played one time, I'm sure. You know, I love all our listeners and friends out there, but it's like in my head, I'm like, what do I need? I haven't golfed in months. I need 1 round on Bermuda grass, like to hate myself. So just no. That
happened to me in Cabo last year. I was going to play the course where I didn't realize that it was the course that they were playing for the PGA event that EVR ended up winning. It was like, hey, it's this Tiger Woods design course. It was like $450 to play if you weren't staying at the resort. I was like, I haven't played golf in like 5 months. Do I want to go rent a pair of clubs, rent a pair of shoes, go buy like a few sleeves of balls and spend $450 just to be like the worst guy out there? No, I don't really want to do that.
That Bermuda, it's a true sponge. It is so, like, obviously the Florida boys know it, but when you come from just that like normal bluegrass that I play golf in, it is a totally different. And I'll do I've gone to Florida for guys trips, for golf trips. Like you see it, like by day 3, we're all like, we're good, we're fine. But that one-off like round on Bermuda, you just pass. It's not worth it if it's not your thing, or if you don't know what you're in for, or if you like having a horrible time playing golf.
You mentioned Powers was getting the lessons from Patty. So Cust watches all of Patty's YouTube videos, and that's where he gets his instruction from. And there's one chipping lesson that Patty has where he stands on one foot and he's like, this is how you get your balance in order to, like, when you're at the range, start doing this. And that will give you your balance. So when you're actually out on the course, you can actually come through the ball and you don't like stop it when you're trying to chip. You actually commit to the shot and get through it and retain your balance the entire way. Cust took that tip, but never practiced it on the range and then was chipping on one foot in the round that we were playing.
Patty does do great tips. This dog Wilson, I enjoy Patty. Patty is very soothing content. Also, Pat, I guess just on that note, been long-winded enough. You may have missed this on your vacation. Luke Donald in the booth this week for NBC. Great call. Love the rotating. You know, Kisner was great, but it's just because our standards are so low that Kisner was great. Like, I think Luke Donald's going to be amazing. Checks a lot of the boxes of what I'd love for the next full-time hire to be, if that's possible. So I'm super excited. My expectations are quite high for him, though.
It's good to get an accent in the NBC booth. The only one that they had.
I'm a sucker for an accent.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for an accent. I like it a lot.
The only accent that they have on the NBC broadcast is the girl that they throw to do like the here's what's happened on the Latin American tour. I forget what her name is, but like that's it. So it's good.
And the radio's brought in, is it like Chopra? There's been a few new guys on the radio, a couple new accents. I adore it.
Yeah, they have that's on the ESPN stream. They have Anders Gonzalez. Dre Gonzalez. He's been really good too. Yeah, Daniel Chopper, I believe, is on the radio broadcast. I think he does some of the PGA Live stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, I might be doing a few of those.
Let's go.
So
get it in you, Patrick.
Keep an eye on that. One and done. Picks for the week. Cust picks first. He has selected Seb Straka as his one and done for this week. And
of course he does.
And I believe it is me who gets to pick next because I have moved into the lead in the one and done because we didn't make a pick last week, but I had Sam Burns at the Genesis. He came T10. That beat your Thigala and Cuss Rory. So I am now ahead of you by $200,000 because, getting a top 10 at a signature event, it was worth like $450K in the one and done. So that's always nice. Who the hell am I going to take this week? Well, I'll take Burger. How's your Burger?
Oh.
Where else are you going to use Burger? Like, if I'm going to commit to betting him, I might as well commit to using him in one and done. Lowry's probably the better pick because where else are you going to use Lowry? But where else? Unless he qualifies for St. Jude and goes to Memphis, which I guess if he won this week, he would be in that field. But I like Burger here. I like the way that he's been trending and get him back in Florida, get him back on in a very because you talked about Tiger, like you can't replicate the sort of like being in the mix, right? Of the pressure of a real round. We saw that with Zalatoris at Sony and even at the Hero when he first came back. And then he kind of popped. He finally got it back together. He played enough tournaments. We kind of saw it with Bud Colley a little bit too. In his first tournament in like 4 years, he struck the shit out of the ball in Phoenix. His driving was plus. His approach was great. His chipping and putting were awful. And we saw that from Woodland. His chipping and putting were awful his first few goes around. Not that they were ever great to begin with. But same as Zalatoris. The chipping and putting were awful at Sony and at Hero. And then once you start playing enough rounds, you get that back. And that's what we've seen from Burger so far. Like the approach finally popped back a little bit in Phoenix. We know he's going to hit a ton of fairways. As long as the chipping and putting can come back, getting him back on a spot where we like him anyway, that it might just be a natural fit. So I'll roll with my guy, Danny Bergs. How's your Burger? It's Burger time at the Honda Classic, which it's not called.
Do you have the list in front of you?
For what? Yeah, I do.
Have I used Chris Kirk?
Yep.
I think I have.
You got a solid $23,000 from Chris Kirk at the American Express.
Okay, I'll use Keith Mitchell.
All right.
One thing, no player I have, well, Tommy Fleetwood, but he doesn't come here anymore. Probably I've lost more money on than anyone at this tournament. But I've probably invested pre-tournament more money on Gary Woodland at this tournament than anyone else in the world. So I would just maybe say it's great to see Gary. It's great to see him coming around again. But his health struggles, I think, are going to save me a few bucks this week.
Unless he wins.
Oh, my God. I'd be so happy for him. I'd get over it. I could. I could get over it. I could. But the like 22s, 25s, 30-1. You look at our whole lifespan of doing a show, there's a Gary Woodland at the Honda for me. But it's just unfortunate that, just things have gotten where, just life sucks sometimes. It's great to see him pulling through. Forever in the heart, though. Like Pebble Beach 19 sits behind me every day. So, like, we don't fuck around. I'll take a bullet for that guy.
All right.
That's going to save me a few bucks.
That will do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. We had to have a supersized show coming back after missing last week, so hopefully you tailed the picks anyway. I might have to do another short where I'm not wearing a shirt and see if that continues to keep the good mo going in terms of the outright winners. Would love to see that. But join fantasynational.com/Mayo to get yourself 20% off. Players, Masters, an elevated event next week coming up. Like, now's the time to get the monthly. Probably starting next week. Actually, even starting this week. You just ride this monthly, that monthly, and then boom, you have like all the best tournaments underneath your monthly membership at fantasynational.com. And like I said, /Mayo will get you 20% off. The Listeners League will be added once I get it to the YouTube video. But smash the like and sub to the channel and sub to my newsletter, completely free, down in the description right now if you're here anyway. All right? Thank you all for watching. I'm Pat Mayo. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!